What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for joining this video. Here is a amazing way to save some money. We all know that golf is already an expensive sport, whether that's buying new clubs, maintaining clubs, paying green fees, all these different things. Golf is just an expensive sport overall. Here's a way to save some money. How much does it cost to regrip a golf club?
Generally speaking, you should expect to pay anywhere from $7 to $20 to regrip a single golf club.
So you heard it there. I'm guessing that higher $20 because you're buying the grip as well as paying the fee. It's already expensive. Golf grips are expensive, especially if you go with a nice one that's going to last you a bit and give you consistent performance for its lifetime. They are expensive. Let me walk you through how you can save yourself some money and be able to learn how to grip your own clubs. Here are a couple of things that you're going to need. You can obviously see that I'm kind of in the middle of a regripping, but that's totally fine. You can get a grip kit. I got mine from Dick's Sporting Goods, I believe. You can see here, the Golf Works professional grip kit, and basically a clamp. So you're gonna need one of these grip kits, and that's gonna come with the tape strips, which are these guys, like the already pre-cut tape strips. You can also buy them in rolls, the grip size or butt gauge grip solvent, which is this guy right here. It's what's gonna lubricate the adhesive and get it to slip. You're gonna need a shaft clamp, which is this guy in here, this little rubber thing that is inside the clamp to protect your club from getting bent or dented by the clamps. And yeah, that's really what we need. Another thing that is very helpful, just so you don't have to use like a utility knife and have a open blade slipping towards you, you can have one of these little hook knives. The hook knives are super helpful because that just allows you to slip them in if you're not trying to recover the grip or keep it. Let's give you guys the full rundown. This tool is very helpful. What this guy does is he allows you to be able to slip this inside the grip, and it has a little knock inside this, like a little indentation, where you can feed solvent down here once you push this inside the grip, and you can slowly work solvent down, which this helps you rotate around the shaft and loosen the adhesive to be able to get it off. That's a very helpful tool if you're trying to salvage grips. So we are taking off the Kirkland grips that came with my wedges, and we are currently putting on the Golf Pride MCC Plus 4 mid-size grips, which is what I have on my Mizuno irons. So we're just gonna kind of keep it going through the bag. So here's kind of the process. I already took this guy off just because that takes a little time. And basically what I'm doing, like I said, it's I'm sticking this in here and I'm feeding this grip solvent down to loosen the adhesive, rotating that around, and I'm pulling that off. But as you guys can see, there's a bunch of residue and loose tape on here. So first thing I'm gonna do is take that all off. We're gonna run our knife, and I'm not running a sharp knife because you don't want to scratch the shaft or put like any impurities into the shaft, because that could be a weak point for break, especially if you put a lot of tension on your shaft by hitting it fat or anything like that. So first thing, I'm using the back side of this hook knife just because it is a dull piece of metal. So it's a great way to just kind of loosen up all that tape, get it all out of there. Looking good. A lot of times I will rotate my clamp. I will rotate the club around the clamp. So you guys will see at some point I'm going to put the head of my club pointing up because that's how I'm going to align the top of it. And then from here, we are going to grab our rag here. I just use any microfiber rag that you're okay getting a little adhesive and stuff on. I'm going to put some of that grip solvent on here because you can still see the tape residue all over the shaft. And we're just going to easily rub that off. It comes off super quick. You don't need a ton of grip solvent, and that's going to get that off. So we're going to work that down. Okay, so you can see how well that works when you get all that tape off initially. Obviously, we still have some stuff up here that we're going to work with. You can see when you work that off initially, it comes off so easily with that grip solvent. One of the big things that I think, like, people be like, yeah, but I don't want to spend the time to regrip my clubs or whatever. I'm like, dude, you can see I'm in my kitchen, like I'm in my house. And so a lot of the times I'll do this while I'm doing something, whether that's hanging out with the family, watching a football game or a basketball game. Like, it's something that's so easy to do once you've done it once or twice and you get a hang of it. You can knock them out pretty quick, actually. I get some people value their time to the max in every single minute. So maybe it's just worth paying the fee. But I think with, like we looked at, MCC Plus 4, this guy was what, $11.99 or something like that. So this is after taxes like $12.50 about for this grip alone. Now if you go get that regrip where they're charging you $4 or $5, you're paying close to, you know, $17, $18, depending on where you're at in your taxes. Like that's a pretty good upcharge, especially if you're regripping your whole set or multiple clubs. Like that's a lot of money to spend. Like that is a round of golf right there. If you're doing a whole set of irons, you could just learn to regrip your own clubs, and then you're saving yourself a whole round of golf that you could play instead of paying for getting your clubs regripped. The other thing that I would like to touch on is the cost of buying all this. You're looking at spending around 70, I would say about $70, $75. I will put links in the description below to all of the tools that I have. Because yeah, I could definitely see some people being like, well, I don't want to spend $70 on regripping stuff. But I think the upside is that this regrip kit is going to last me forever. The only thing that I'm going to have to rebuy is going to be the solvent, which lasts forever, and tape. That's the biggest one. Some people like to just use masking tape, like painter's tape, you know, the gray stuff you can get at Home Depot, or the like whitish, the cream color tape. Some people like using that. I like using double-sided tape, so it costs a little bit more. But again, regrips, they are far in between. You're doing like maybe one a year. But if you do a whole set of clubs, you know, you could be paying upwards of $200, $250 to regrip your whole set if you have somebody do it. When you have this kit, all you have to account for is, you know, these little purchases here and there, and then the cost of getting new grips. So it's really not that bad. I don't mind it at all. It's actually kind of therapeutic to sit here and regrip your clubs and do it exactly how you want it. Something that some people could get scared of at first is like, I don't know if I want to regrip my own clubs. I don't want it to come out bad, but it's pretty hard to mess up. You guys can see here, we got all of our residue off. We're cleared up and it's looking good. Now we have a good canvas to work with. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to loosen my clamp, and I'm going to line that club head. I want to be straight. So as a guide, I like to use the bottom groove and try to point that guy straight up, and that'll give you a good idea if your face is square as you're regripping. So we got that all here ready to go. I'm going to use a tiny bit more grip solvent just because I have a lot of residue kind of hanging out in this area. So we're going to get us nice and clear. Perfect. And the reason you want to do such a good job cleaning your shaft before you go in for a new regrip is you will sometimes feel those imperfections. So if you left a piece of tape or a lot of residue where it's going to build up when you're regripping and putting the new grip on, you're going to feel those bumps in your shaft. And so you want to make sure you do a pretty solid job getting it nice and clean, not leaving any residue, and working with a clean surface. From here, what we're going to do is we need to get a piece of double-sided tape. These ones are pre-cut, so what we're going to do is first take this backing off. The big thing when you do a regrip, you don't want this double-sided tape sticking out past your grip. Usually that's not too big of an issue because the butt end of a club or the shaft is always open. And so you need to make sure you leave a little bit of this tape past the shaft so you can twist it and push it in. And I'll kind of show you guys what that looks like. But let's go ahead, take off this MCC plus 4 wrapping here, and let's get to the regrip. You guys are going to see, you could hold it up like this. You could kind of measure. I wouldn't want, if I was to put it on and leave this thing perfectly, like the tape right at the butt of the shaft, you would see that would stick out past, that has the possibility of sticking out past where the end of my grip is. Obviously this one, since it's pre-cut, they're smart and they cut it shorter than it is. But if you have like a roll of tape and you're doing your own tape work, just make sure that tape does not stick out past the opening of the grip. Right here, I like to leave a good 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch outside. So you guys can see right there. Left myself some good space. That's going to allow me to twist and push it in. And then what we're going to do here, work that grip down. So basically, I'm just going to curl that over. And you want to make sure you didn't do what I did here. You guys aren't going to really see it, but you do not want your grip to kind of be folding on top of each other here. You want to make sure it's nice and loose. So I'm just going to put a little bit of solvent, because what that's going to do is loosen up the adhesive so that I can work with it without ripping the tape. So now we're on track there. So I like to put down one side first. We're going to work down this left side, get it all the way under, and then overlap it nice and smooth. Make sure we don't have any ripples in our tape, and make sure it looks really good. Perfect. So that's pretty good there. Have a couple little creases here, but those creases are because we added some of that solvent in there. Overall, that feels pretty good. I have a couple little creases, which I could work out, but that's going to be fine. They'll come out as I work it. So here on the end, we're going to pinch that inwards, twist it, and push it into the butt of the club, which that's going to allow dirt, debris, and different things like that not to work its way from inside that hole, because on the back of every grip there's going to be a hole. And so if you leave that open, dirt and stuff will get into the shaft and you'll hear that rattle. So you want to make sure you leave that space to twist and lock in that back end of the shaft so nothing gets in. So we're good here. So you can see grips on there. Some people like to do 2-3 grips, whatever you want to do. Since I'm in the MCC plus 4, it's already like there's more grips on there. That's why they make it a little bit thicker, which I like a thicker grip, so I'm going to keep it that way. We're going to pour solvent into the grip. We want to make sure that as we're gripping the shaft that we don't have any issues of it snagging. We don't want any snags as we go, so we want to make sure it's well lubricated and going to slip on just fine. I have just a cup right here, and this is going to allow me to pour that extra solvent that is currently in the grip in here. And I don't want solvent all over my floor, so I do have a Home Depot 5-gallon bucket sitting on the ground just to catch all that, any solvent that drips as I'm doing this. Obviously I caught majority of it because I want to keep this, so I will pour it back into the solvent bottle, and then we're basically ready to grip it. So we're gonna go ahead, get that thing working on there, which takes a little work to get it on at first. And at this point, you want to make sure you know how you want to grip. Do you want like the logo facing down, facing up towards you? Do you want to use that as a guide to like your alignment? That's all something to consider now. What I like to do is I like to either hold a rag or the cup back here, because that is where a lot of the solvent is going to get pushed out of. So as you're pushing this in, you want to make sure that solvent gets pushed out and doesn't squirt all over you, because it definitely will. We're just going to work that on. I could have used a bit more solvent on the tape, honestly, but it's still working on there. That's the great thing about using one of these clamps, these like suction clamps, is that you can really get it to start doing its thing and just push it on there. So for this next club I'm going to make sure I get enough on there. But it's going on just fine. This is why I wasn't really worried about creases, is because those creases work themselves out as you're putting that grip on the tape sometimes. So, okay. So you want to make sure that grip isn't twisted either. So that's another big pointer here. So we're basically on, that was a little bit tight of a fit just because I didn't use enough solvent, but it was enough. And I could have just worked my way back, put more solvent, and then gone back in, but I didn't want to do that for the sake of this video and just showing you guys it's really not that hard. We got that on, and then I'm going to take a look down and see, because I do want my logo here at the top to be aligned with my grooves. So I want to see if I align using this as a guide, kind of that middle line, make sure everything looks good. The grip isn't twisted or turning in any direction, and I think that looks really good. I'm super happy with the way that looks. I wouldn't want it to look any different. So it's that simple, guys. That one club, because I'm walking you guys through it and I'm kind of taking some more time to explain things, you can see this isn't a super long video. It only took me about 10-12 minutes to do one club. When I'm doing it by myself, I can get it down to about 5 minutes. It's really not hard. Great way to save you some money. I hope this video helped and got you some information to see how easy regripping your clubs is. This is a great way to save a little bit of money in an already expensive sport. And hey, I just earned you another round, so you can thank me. If you got anything out of this, make sure to subscribe to this video, leave any comments, questions, and I'm happy to answer them in the comments below. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.